para katong mga dili ka connect karon would be able to view this discussion or this meeting. Okay? So, let's start. I'm sure you have read your sims and these terms. I will just be explaining this para mas dali lang ninyo masabtan. Okay? Human development, basically development sa human, period na. The thing with human development, it starts from the time that yung embryonic period na development of the fetus inside the mother's womb. That would start by there. Development physically, na ma-develop na arms, na limbs, even the head. Na starts from the womb. Then it would end sa last breath ng isang human being. It would end upon death. So yan, human development. That's basically all of it. From the time inside the mother's womb up to the last breath of an individual, everything in between is development. The question is it for the better or for the worse? Yan. Life expectancy. It's not just about numbers, but the quality of life that was done. Yan. Next, human behavior. Behavior ng human. Simply how a human reacts or acts when he is alone, when he is with other people, most especially bunches of people, and of course, yung inner and outer desires. Yan, included dyan. Sa mga inner, isang term na, fetish na, kung sexually motivated ang individual, the inner fetishes, or the inner feelings, na in my feelings kunuhay na, which is present in every human being, whether sane or insane. Next, newborn reflexes. Diba, pareho ba na sa isa ka movie na akong natanaw na wala pa 2 months, kabalo na mag-karate, na kabalo na manipa, manumbag. There are newborn reflexes present among newborn children, which are automatic and is a particular form of simulation that is present with all babies that were conceived. Yan yan. Next, developmental change na changes during development. Best example niyan, mga babae during the stage of puberty or adolescence. Adolescence came from the word adolescere. Yan. I don't know if it's French or Latin, but it came from the word adolescere. Yan, adolescence. Females during puberty or adolescence will develop an increase in their hips, yan, hip size. There would be, of course, facial changes na same goes with men. Men would have broader shoulders. Na men would also have a develop internally. Yan. Sexual organs ng parehong lalaki at babae magde-develop. Si lalaki na development sa tuwa will be what we call improvement sa ating male reproductive organs. Na the same goes with females. They would have what we call the menstrual cycle. Yan, that's part of development. Hindi lang physically but also mentally. The ability of a child to think is way different from the ability of a 20 or 24-year-old, 23-year-old individual of thinking. Na, of course, mas different when it gets older. Once a person has accumulated above enough information or kanang during the course of his life, there's so much mental development that it would soon be converted into wisdom. Wisdom does not come with intellect only, it comes with age. Okay. So, next. Motivation, daghang motivation diri sa planetang ibabaw. Biological, emotional, social, cognitive forces. Napakarami niyan. Biological motivation, for example, there's one of those things na hindi talaga mawawala sa buhay ng tao. One of those is consuming food. Biological nature natin yan, na kumain. Kinsa ba di gakaon dire ever since? Wala, di ba? Everyone or every living human being is eating. Because if we don't eat, we don't live. Na. That's biological nature. One of our motivations is food na, di ba? Next, emotional motivation. Sometimes in this factor or force, emotional force, there are certain motivations with which will drive us either for the better or the worse. First, na basketball na. Kanang mga gadulag basketball. Siguro ang uban sa inyo nahibaw-an na ang siguro what would happen in a basketball game. Pero emotions nandun yan. Some others are motivated in playing basketball because they want to have a better future. Some others are motivated in basketball because of the prize it has, 'di ba? Championship na kwarta, emotional. And to the point na yung mga motivations na yon would turn into emotional responses na makabuhat siya buzzer beating shot na magbuhat na dayon og mga actions, emotionally motivated actions na certain excitement and fulfillment na. Of course, kung matalo, then there would be emotional reactions which would show dejection na, would show failure na. Kumbaga, so close yet so far. Yun. Next, social motivation. It's basically not just as an individual but also as a whole nation or society. Yan. So, one of the motivations ng Pilipinas is to be one of those countries in Asia na malakas ang ekonomiya. The thing is, saan tayo kukuha ng malawak na motivation? Of course, we have this society. Third world country tayo. We couldn't go up into first world country without experiencing challenges. So where would our country get its motivation? It's not just from other countries, but most especially kung sa nationalism pa na, it's within us. Sa ngayong panahon, ang problema natin hindi ang ibang sa problema natin ang sarili natin. Na next is other cognitive forces which one of the factors also are cognitive forces which enables behavior, enables actions. Motivation is as often as possible used to depict why an individual does something. For example, ako, hilig man ko og sakyanan, mga motor, pero nganong sige man kog adtog uh, shop sa Rusi. What's driving me to be interested in Rusi? Na bisan wa ko ganahe. Na. Or for example, why do people react so much when they are scared of something? Bakit ang mga tao, for example, takot ka sa heights, meron kang tinatawag na aerophobia? Hell no. That's acrophobia. If I'm not mistaken, that's acrophobia. Fear of heights. Na. Most of women and some men, if not there's certain number of men na takot sa heights. Na. So, unsa bay behavior sa mga tao when they come to face their fears or yung phobias nila. Yan. Fear is basically something or a thing that automatically ignites a person's behavior to avoid it. Yan. Mga bagay na iniiwasan. Na, to the point na kung maharap mo or kaharap mo na yung yes. Yes. Hello? Maklaro ba ko ninyo?
Yes, sir. Klaro naman, sir.
Sige, kung meron kayong questions, i-raise nyo muna yung hand nyo. Okay? And then, i-chat nyo lang kung di jud kaya sa data. I'll just make this quick. Kumbaga, sa bang term ani. Quickie lang to. Okay? So, let's go to the next. Abnormal behavior. There are certain individuals or even kita tanan naman jud tay abnormal behavior. No one is perfect when it comes to behavior. Hindi tayo perfect. The thing is, there are some people na dominant ang pag-show or pag-manifest ng abnormal behavior. Any behavior that veers off or out of the context of what is considered normal. Naman ay mga characteristics or criteria na. But we will discuss that in the next topics. Pero abnormal behavior, lahat ng tao may abnormalities sa behavior. Na everyone does, tell you honestly, or to tell you honestly. The thing is, we are considered normal by societal means or by the level of society because hindi natin pinapakita or nakokontrol natin, nalilimit natin ang pagpapakita ng abnormal behavior. It is considered abnormal to the point na hindi na makokontrol ng isang individual at mas dominant ang abnormal behavior compared sa what is considered normal. Napakaraming measuring sticks niyan. Can be maladaptive behavior, can be previous personal circumstances, na or sickness or illnesses sa brain. Yan. Again, dahil lahat ng tao may certain kind of abnormalities, there are instances talaga na hindi tayo consistent. Na. So, yon. People or human beings are not perfect. That's the reason why we are inconsistent. Throughout our lives, we are considered inconsistent. The thing is, we could correct that. Inconsistency can be corrected. Hindi yan mawawala, pero pwede yang mabago. Okay? Next, conflict crimes, acts like prostitution, smoking, yan, drugs. Illegal drugs could affect one person's behavior, one person's mindset. Okay? So, when you have been using drugs, it could result to certain abnormal behaviors, which most of the times, if not all of the times, would result into crimes. Yan. Next, social deviations. Yung mga pag-iiwas sa pakikihalubilo. Some practices which are considered hurtful or not really acceptable. Yan. And social diversions. Yan. Common ni sa tanang tao na ay mga butang or diversions na ginabuhat ang mga tao just to avoid conflicts just to avoid provocating them to show their abnormal behavior. For example, kanang mga napansin sa mga I've seen this sa mga training sa military, there are certain females kanang ilang mga kamot murag mag-fidget or mangurog. The same goes with men, mangurog na especially sa rappelling. Kay naay uban na ay fear of heights. To the point na grabe na ang shaking sa body. And to divert that shaking, ang gagawin ng iba, they would stamp their feet continuously para mawala lang or ma-divert ang shaking ng body padulong sa tiil. Para pod malimit ang tinatawag na fear. Yan. Okay? Na, terminologies pa lang na. Diyos ko. Na, I think you have read this already. Physical development, intellectual development. The changes in size, shape, and physical maturity. That's physical, intellectual, growth of the brain, intellectual capability. Yan yun. The IQ or the intellectual quotient. Yan. Yan. Next, social development, ability to interact with other people by the use of certain skills and interacting with others successfully. That's social development. Emotional development, yan. Feelings, emotional responses to certain events. Na understanding one's own feelings and controlling it or suppressing and expressing it. Moral development, basically from the word morality. Ability to understand which is right and wrong. But there are certain times sa buhay ng tao that even the wrong word seems even the wrong word seems so right. Yan. Okay? So, let's proceed. Here are significant facts about human development. First, very importantly, early foundations are critical. Excuse me. So, it is the stage wherein the attitudes and behaviors of a child would begin to be developed. Kaya importante during the early stages of childhood, yung environment ng bata at yung pag-aaral ng bata must be very strong. Kasi nagkakaroon ng kaibahan sa magiging ugali niyan at magiging habit niyan paglaki ng bata. It's much easier to correct the wrong perceptions ng bata at that stage na early foundations. Na for example, respect of elders, yan, paano mapanatili ang kalinisan sa sarili, yan. How to behave in society, yan. Good manners and right conduct, GMRC. Yan yon. Next, maturation and learning are responsible for development. Na, maturity comes with age. Learning never stops. Na, learning would go on until late adulthood. Maturation would go around that time then. It does not stop. It's continuous. There are certain events in our life that would teach us what is right from wrong and would help us mature as an individual. Yan. Mas maiintindihan natin bakit ganito, ba't ganon. Yan. For example, why do politicians lie? Kung tanungin ko yan sa 13 years old, they wouldn't really understand if I explain. If I explain it to a 25 or maybe 30 years old, 22 old, they might have a grasp. Kung sa Bisaya pa na pagpagpas ana, they might have a clue for it. Yan yun. That comes with maturation, not just with the body, but most especially sa mind at sa pag-iisip ng tao. Next, all individuals are different. For example, lahi ang gusto ni Mr. Anong sa gusto ni Mr. Mier. Or lahi pod ang gusto ni Miss Aonso sa gusto ni Palmes. Na you have different interests. Na isa gusto K-drama, ang isa gusto NBA basketball, di ba? Na uban hilig og TikTok, napoy uban hilig og sleep talk, sleepwalk pod, di ba? Napakarami. Iba-iba ang tao. Next, there are traditional beliefs about individuals at all ages. Yan, yung mga traditional beliefs or mga pamahiin. Yan. Conventional or unconventional convictions in improvement. Na, for example, yan, may example dyan, others, na kung makakita kag itong iring alas ng tibok adlaw, it might not be constant, not even scientifically proven. Next, yan. Let's proceed to psychological theories. First is yung kay Jean Piaget, one of the most influential figures sa psychology. He created his cognitive development theory based on the thought that children effectively develop information as they investigate and manipulate the world around them. Again, no one better can control you except yourself. 'Di ba? Hawak natin ang kanya-kanya nating kapalaran. Not even your parents can control you or your future. We control ourselves, 'di ba? Yan. So let's proceed to the stages of cognitive development. Now, he developed this in the mid 20th century, around 50s and 60s. First is that this sensory motor stage from 0 years to 2 years old. Now, from birth up to 2 years old. What happens in sensory motor stage is that it characterizes the newborn children and their thinking by controlling the world around them. That's why mas stricto, mas careful ang mga parents in controlling what the child interacts with. Pasagdan ba na nimo imong anak na paglatagaw lang dira, biyaan? That's why in those stages, ang development ng katawan at ang pag-isip, the curiosity of things happen. Pansinin ninyo, I think every child has done this during those stages, is that lahat ng bata, lahat ng ibibigay sa bata or mapupulot ng bata using his hand or his or her hand, she will try to eat it. Yan. So the child will try to eat it out of curiosity. Is this edible? Hindi yun ang nasa isip ng bata, pero that is the translation sa theory ni Jean Piaget. Is this thing edible or makakain ba to? Okay? Questions? Questions? Questions, my friends? Sige,
Sir?
yes?
Sir?
Yes.
O, kinsa man daw ko, sir. Nakay
No,
question, sir.
okay, go.
Ang question ako is, di ba nakaingon ka ganina o naay abnormalities ang tao even though inborn sila, normal sila inborn. So, unsa to siya na mga kanang abnormalities, common abnormalities na ilahang ma-feel usahay.
Thank you for that question. Sige, off mo muna mic mo. Sige. Ani na. Ang pasabot na ako na abnormalities na naa sa kada tao is that there are certain behaviors na unique, Jud. And those abnormal behaviors would happen if they are confronted or na sila'y maatubang na something strange din. Di ba? For example, kita ninyo yung crush, di ba? Tong bata pa mo, na ubang babae, murag gilukan na mag-shake ang katawan, mangurog, murag gikan Antarctica. Kita sila pogi, di ba? The same goes with lalaki. Kung makakita sila basketball player sa TV, kita nila na game winner, di ba? Murag manumbag pas katapad. That is considered normal, but it is technically one of those unique abnormalities na gina-accept sa society. Everybody has an abnormal set of behaviors. The thing is, those with considerations of being normal, katong mga considered normal, like for example, kitang tanan na adere, we can control those normal behaviors. Okay? We can control those abnormal behaviors. Like for example, nang kalit lang mahimong clingy ang babae, na for example, uyab sa lalaki or kanang babae na siya uyab and then wag mahimong clingy. That's not a normal behavior. No one can sustain being clingy aside kung naamoy pruweba na kanang clingy all throughout the relationship. Pero there's still events, there's still times na ang isa ka tao mahimong clingy. Usahay to the point na manobra na. Yan. That's considered an abnormal behavior na pwede makontrol. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sige, thank you din. Next is pre-operational stage from the age 2 years old to 7 years old na. So, in this stage, what happens is symbolic thinking yan. Dire na mapansin na ninyo during these stages around 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old. Sugda na magtudlo og pag-ihap. Why? So nga naman ay syntax, tumpak. Syntax, it involves calculations. It involves solving. It is based on human anatomy or the psychology of the human mind. Na at those stage, it is perfect to start developing counting, reasoning, and speech ng bata. Yan. So, at that time also, creativity of a child is being exploited or ipapakita ng puwersahan sa mga schools. Yan. So, it might be hard for the child at first, but, di ba? Habang tumatagal, mas nagiging madali. Yan. That's why ang mga elementary education teachers, labaw na sa mga lower elementary years, they're very sensitive of the outputs ng bata. Di ba? 4 times 4, 16. Basic na pag abot nimo 6 or 7 years old. Pero if you make it an earlier pa talaga kanang gi-introduce nimo ang multiplication 3 years old, naunsa nang gusto nimo sa bata mahimong genius? It might be siguro it might be a defect in the future. Nga ni man gud na. there are certain ages in which it is right to do this and that. Sa pre-operational, it is the age bracket na kung asa kinahanglan jud i-introduce ang pag-develop or pagsugod sa pagsalita, pag-ihap, and to express themselves through art. Kaya panay drawing na, panay Crayola na, panay Roy G. Bibb na, sige nagpa-play og rainbow song na in order to develop also memory of the child. Yan yan sa pre-operational stage. And also, most important in teaching those children at that stage is yung memory retention. When we say memory retention, sulat na ako na, memory retention. When we say memory retention, kung maklaro ninyo, it involves retaining what was taught to the child. Importante na sa pre-operational stage palang daan. Up to the point sa concrete operational, 7 to 11 years old, yung mga konsepto from simple math, nile-level up. Na. During my time, I am from an international school na ang samua sa una gitudloan nami og 11 years old na nami algebra, complex algebra na. Some for others dira na nagsugod ang mas lisod, mas complicated na math equations, mas complicated na grammar or sentence structure na subject, transitive verb, dependent object, construction of grammar. Nandiyan na yan, concrete operational. Bakit? Kumbaga sa pagtukod og balay, ang sensory motor is yung initial stages ng foundation na laying down the ground. Hangtod sa pre-operational. Pagtungaan ng pre-operational, mao na ang foundations hinay-hinay na magtukod up to concrete operational. Sa concrete operational, imagine nyo na lang na ang bahay sinisimulan ng lagyan ng concrete. Ayan. Nandiyan na yan. At that stage, the children or the child during that stage, they will be subjected to certain situations na kailangan nilang isolve nila sarili. Simple problems. And then, it will develop up until formal operational. 11 years and up to yan, teenage years. Yan. Kung asa ang theoretical, hypothetical, tanan, complex, logic, and reasoning. Diyan na ituturo at diyan na maipapakita ng isang individual. Complex concepts. Diyan. Okay? Next. Yan. Sa sensory motor stage, maipakita din yan. Napansin ninyo, lahat or halos lahat ng bata, lahat ng makukuha nila during sensory motor stage would have a possibility na yung kukunin nila, kakainin nila, or they would suck it. Na, sounds so wrong, pero they would suck it. Nga naman. Because it is human nature that children during sensory motor stage are curious of everything they see. Na kulang na lang paako nila yung mama. Na unsa si mama makao ni si mama? Na mama, ana. 'Di ba? What if wala silang bagay na mapulot? That's the time that they will be eager to repeat sucking their thumbs or sucking their fingers. Yan. That's pleasure. That is their pleasure eh. Yan yung nagpapasaya sa kanya noon. Ngano de ang nagpapasaya de sa bata sa una uyab, wala pa na yung uyab no? 3 years old, 2 years old, my God. Ang pleasure nila sa buhay nila, something they would be able to put in their mouth. Of course, lipay ng bata kung mukaon. Lipay ng bata musuyop sa chupon ba na or kanang sa kanang term niya sa bata, kanang mga dudo nila na. Yan. That's why yan ang design ng milk bottle ng mga babies. It simulates the na let's be professional with this. It simulates the breast of a woman, a mother. Na because as we all know, breast milk is best para kay baby. Yan. Paano pag dumalaki ng bata unsa na 5 years old mo sa pagyapon kay mommy? No. 4 years old? No. That's why merong substitute. Itong yan, yung milk bottle. Yung kanang chupon simulates a developed mammary gland ng nanay. In which ang bata during early stages, dyan man talaga siya sa breast milk. So, it simulates pleasure ng bata. I love sucking, yun sa bata. Paano pag wala siyang substitute? Then, of course, the hand would come. That's why may mga babies, para malipay sila, di sila muhilak, they would suck their finger. Their thumb, actually. Mama ng pinakadakong finger. Next, pre-operational stage. Yun, ulitin ko. Development ng body, much continuous. Yan. There are some babies during this stage na kung makakita sila eroplano, whether on TV or live, they would mimic or they would copy that plane. Kanang i-stretch nila ilang kamot sa sides and then they would act like an airplane na. Diba? They would simulate that. Because di man sila sakay og eroplano sila ra. Kakita na mog bata, puros bata, pasahero sa eroplano? No. But they would imagine playing as if they are planes. Yan. It's somehow like that. Okay? Next. Ang bagsakan lang to, pre-operational stage. Yan. Pinaginipan na yan para siyang si Harry Potter. Yan. Still the same halos. Pero at this stage, hindi nakatawan nila ang ginagawang examples nila. They would use other equipment, other things to substitute what they want to achieve or yung mga pleasures nila. That is their symbol. Na children at this stage begin to think symbolically. Example, kagaya sa picture dyan. That child or the kid wants to ride a horse. Wala may kabayo si mommy at daddy, di man sila dato, wala man sila rancho. So, he would grab a broom. Na niya, iya ng sakyan. Na. Sir, what about sakyanan, sir? What may sakyanan mi sa una, sir? Nung bata pa mi, ana. Saan ako pag substitute, ana, sir? Sakyan akong Hot Wheels? Na, laipod na. That's why there are children who plays somehow weird. Pero it's basically trying to sustain yung pleasure at that stage of life. Yan. Sa pre-operational stage. Again, gi-record na ako ni so that kung anytime pwede ninyo mabalik ni na video. Next, formal operational, mao na tong sugod sa early childhood from adolescence up to na adulthood. Kung asa ang problem solving abilities, mas complex na. Of course, adapting to the current situation of society. Yan. 'Di ba? Square root ng mga panuha ko. Nako. Na. Wala may math genius diri, no? Parehata. Next, periods of human development. By the way, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions, my friends? Questions? Do you have any questions? Kay basin
Wala,
ako na ko'y
sir.
mangutana. Si Uy, hina yung connection. Anyway, next, prenatal development. The first period of human development. At this stage, na prenatal, this is during the time na manganganak na si mommy. Yan. Pre-birth, I mean, before manganak si mommy. During the development of the baby inside the mother's womb, lahat ng mga characteristics ni mama at papa would mix together with the development of the fetus. The creating baby is totally dependent on the mother for life. Yan. That's why merong connection si baby sa umbilical cord ni mommy. Yan ang lifeline ni baby inside the mother's womb. Kaya, even though ang bata na ilabas na pero hindi pa naputol ang umbilical cord, still considered yan as abortion. Yan. Once putlo na nimo ay nakalabas ng bata, pwede na yan infanticide within 72 hours. Yan yun. It's imperative amid pregnancy that screens the well-being of both the mother and the embryo or the baby. Yan. So, of course, ang pinakamaswerteng doktor niyan, hindi ang pedya. Gynecologist. Nako, kung mag-doktor mo, mag-gynecologist mo. Anyway, nothing ansama na, but it is very important for the mother and the baby during pregnancy ng mother na ma-check kanunay ang health nila. Okay? Also, during the prenatal development, yung impacts of nature or yung heredity, the qualities of the parents, yan. Sustenance and teratogens, of course, the estrogen and testosterone ng father, na during mating and the development, it would sort of create what would be the characteristics of the baby. Yan, physical and mental. Okay? Next. Yan. Stages during prenatal development. First 9 weeks after nabuo. Yan. Fetal stage. Bata pa na. Mura pa nagmunggos siguro ka size. Or murag siguro ingrown sa ubandira. 9 weeks. 9 weeks of pregnancy. Yan yun. Itsura. Fetal stage begins. By the 12th week, yan. The start of the development of the thighs and the head, pati na rin yung mga arms. Yan. By the 16th week, or siguro less than a month, less than a month, that's around 4 months. Yan, 4 months pregnant. Yan, lumalaki na yung kamay at paa. The brain would start to develop and start its early function during that period. Yan, 16 weeks pregnant. Yan, ang shape ng bata, if it became successful, dyan na makikita yung korte. From 16th to the 20th week, the development of other senses such as yun, may nose na yan, hearing, or the ability of the fetus, the baby, to have a sense of hearing. Diyan, magsisimula na yan. 20 to 22nd week of pregnancy. By the 24th week, lungs. Yan. Independent breathing is not yet achievable, pero lungs would then be developed and would be connected na Yung ma-develop na talaga yung paghinga ng bata independently. Yan. Next, 28 weeks, brain grows rapidly to the point na this is more dangerous na time ng pregnancy, development ng brain. Naiuban nga parents or pregnant women na during this time, sige nagtumarog medicine. Delikado na. That's why it is always advised during pregnancy na yung mga natural na food na. And of course, walang bisyo because it would affect the baby upon birth or even during the growth of the child. 32 weeks, bones will develop fully. Dara na anay some sort of strength si bata pag abot og 36 weeks, maskulado na or may muscles, di ba, ang bata. By the 40th week, yan, full term development na. By that time, napanganak na si baby. Yan. Okay, questions. Questions. Questions? I-share na ako ning content sa isa ha before ta mag-dismiss. Yan. Anak na. Okay, so development is described as a progressive series of changes that occur as a result of maturation and experience, age, and mental development. So, the following are the significant factors of development. Early foundations, importante. Murag nagtukod kag balay or nagtukod kag building. Development must i-control ang foundations sa karon ang panghuna. Because if you're already in early adulthood, naanay knowledge of the things around. But when you're still young, yan, early foundations. Next, roles of maturation and learning in development. Yan, importante mahimong matured as time passes. Next, yan. Kaning uban, I will be discussing this to you. Hopefully kung okay sa inyo ha, ugma. Okay? I will discuss this to you by tomorrow, if it's okay. Questions? Wala na ipangutana? Are there questions?
Sir, maglasa sa ka subject, sir.
Yes?
Karon.
Unsa to?
Sa ka subject.
Napakoy online class sunod ani sa drug.
Okay, sir.
Sige, so isend na ko ni sa inyong LMS na may recording ani. And if you have any further questions, we'll continue discussing this sa next meeting before sa inyong exam. We'll also have another quiz before the exam. Na, siguro, 100 items. Nako, dugay na nako na ginabahad sa inyo, ha? Tinud-on nato ng 100 items and MCQ man na. Okay? So, if there are no questions anymore, you can just go back to the recording of this video. So for now, thank you. Have a good afternoon. And hanggang dito na lang po tayo. Okay? Thank you and God bless.